I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Apparently I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. That's right. I said podcast, not sadcast. Last week was sadcast. I have got to tell you that I am sitting here, folks, and I do not have a razor blade in my hand. Thank you for your concern. I cannot tell you how many people wrote me emails with, hey, dude, are you okay? I knew there was a problem when the next day the phone rang, like Max, my buddy Max in Chicago, who I will usually talk to the day I record, like when I'm on my way to do the show, but I didn't get to call him last week. And then Thursday night, the phone rang at my house, and Dave, he lives at home with like kids and a family, and he called me at night to go, hey, heard the podcast today. Just want to check in. What's going on over there? Everything okay? So there's a guy who I've known 25 years who thought I was in dire straits. So apparently last week's show was a show that nobody liked. And not that nobody liked, but everybody was horribly concerned. And I can only imagine that would be like hearing, some answering machine message from some guy who's just like, he's despondent or he just broke up with a chick and he doesn't know what the hell he's going to do. Except that answering machine message lasted over an hour and 15 minutes for some crazy reason. So yeah, I was not, I'm sorry, I was not reaching out. I know it sounded, and again, I listened back to it, and even I was like, what are you doing? Nothing like showing ass to a bunch of people you never met in your goddamn life. That's a smart move, but, that's what was on my brain last week. So there you go. Suck on that. I don't have the luxury of having a guest come in and talk about his film or his next project. I have to talk about my next project, which unfortunately is myself. Which is not only my next project, but quite frankly, my only project. And besides this, of course, this is a project, I guess. It's certainly a project to listen to, especially last week's. Jesus God, I was listening to it. I called my own cell phone to make sure I was okay. I grabbed my home phone and I called my cell phone. Dude, are you all right? Wait a minute. Hold on. But luckily, everything has been straightened out. So, and by everything has been straightened out, I mean nothing's been accomplished. I've heard the show, and let's see if that electronic bucket of cold water has changed me in any way and forced me to take a look at myself in a different fashion. Other than to look at myself as a guy who bores people for over an hour with horrible things in his life. Oh, yeah. And and by the way, thank you again. I got to thank the people who wrote me, because a lot of people did write me with buck up little trooper letters, and that's nice. That's very nice. I do appreciate that. I can tell you what I didn't really appreciate. The 4 or 5 people who wrote me notes telling me that I should fucking just be funny, and they didn't want to hear that kind of thing. Thanks for that, consumers of free fucking podcast. What the fuck is with... Who sits down... Here's what I don't understand. All right, look. I can understand you listening to that show and just going, well, fuck, that was a waste of time. Because, we've all had that feeling. Usually on a Thursday afternoon or a Friday morning after listening to my show. But then to actually sit down at a keyboard and think that I owe you one fucking scintilla of anything in your goddamn life. You know what? You didn't like it? I think I called an episode about 10 episodes back or 15 episodes back. Hey, your click wheel's right there. I don't give a fuck. You know what? Go listen to music. Go listen to something else that you like. I don't give a fuck who you think you are, and you can tell them. Just be funny? Really? You wrote that to me? And hit fucking send? What the fuck? It's the internet, man. Anonymity lets people do that kind of thing. They all get brave, and they're all fucking keyboard warriors, jockeying through and sending their fucking electronic punches through the email. And you know what? If you want to step up, motherfucker, I am right here. What does that even mean? What is right here? Nobody knows where that is. But yeah, that just made me laugh. And it's so funny. I used to have a policy, like when I was doing Never Not Funny, I would get letters from people who didn't enjoy me or enjoy what I was doing. And I still get those letters. But I would always go, you know what? Don't even comment on that bullshit. You know what I mean? Just who cares? Move forward. Doesn't matter. And But I got to be honest with you, man. Last week, those. Granted, I get the show was a little maudlin. I get that. All right, it was my mistake for. Again, this is what you get. If I sit down and I got nothing to talk about, eventually it's going to meander into, oh, I hate myself. So I mean, that's what happened last week for a long amount of time. But I don't think you need to sit. Who sits down? That's what I don't get. Who sits down and types out that they didn't like it and that I should just stick to being funny and then hits fucking send? Who the hell does that? Who's mad at somebody that gives them a free hour of entertainment every week? Granted, last week was not a free hour of entertainment, more just a free hour of me talking and you listening. And yes, I should have been lying on the couch for last week's episode. I get all that. Ha ha. But Jesus Christ, really? You type out just stick to being funny and you fucking send it to me? And then that'll let 4 of you, like 4 or 5 of you, send that to me. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you, Jolene. I can't say his address. All right, never mind. And it might not even been a he. I don't even know if it was a he. It could have been a chick, like under the guy. Who knows with the internet? Nobody has any fucking clue. Oh, anonymity is they can do whatever the fuck they want. It's like I go on the internet now and I'll go to Deadspin or all these different places and people comment, and I am so sick of Snark. Like I am so fucking sick of Snark, and that's my job is to be snarky and to make fun of shit. But when I see other people do it, it's so artless. Oh. Terrible. It's like last week. All right, I think we all know our economy is crumbling. Again, I wouldn't know not having a job. I have no clue what's happening. But this is what I read. So when I'm not getting scolded by anonymous people on the internet. Anyway, and boy, don't think I'm going to let that go anytime soon. I was reading a story. There's a guy named Bernie Madoff in New York, and Bernard Madoff. Fuck him. He doesn't get Bernard anymore. He's Bernie. He lost a fucking $1 billion. Fuck you. You're Bernie. You don't get the fucking fancy name anymore. So this is a guy, he's an investment guy in New York, and he invested people's money, but it turned out he didn't. He was just having a big, grand old time, having like a Ponzi scheme, and just, he was robbing Peter to pay Paul. And you know who's furious about that? Peter. Why would I say that? So he's basically just shifting money around, and then he gets found out that he's stealing money, essentially. So, it comes out, because all these names are starting to drift out, because apparently he was big with the New York socialites and a lot of rich people, and because that's who's investing, let's be honest. He's not weren't a lot of poor people ripped off by Bernie Madoff. Well, now they are. I mean, sure, they're poor now. I mean, but at the time they weren't. They didn't think they were. They were like, look at all this money we're making with Bernie Madoff, not realizing that the guy, put it in a mattress and set it on fire. So he, it turns out this week now, like certain names are dribbling out, and Kevin Bacon was one of the names. And Kevin Bacon is an actor who was in a film called Footloose. You may remember that. And he's also the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon guy. And which is funny because it's like I know a banker in New York who knew Bernie Madoff who ripped off Kevin Bacon. So Kevin Bacon has unfortunately lost all of his money. The story that I read, all he has left is his house and what's in his bank account. Everything else is gone. That's he and his wife, Kira Sedgwick. They are actors. They've been actors now for, 25 years, probably? Think of the amount of money that guy must have lost. He had to lose, I'm saying he had to lose at least $20 million. That's my guess. Because he's Kevin Bacon. He's ubiquitous. He's been in every fucking movie ever made. You can't turn your head away from him without seeing him at some point. Like, literally, if you looked away and went, Kevin Bacon. Oh, there's Kevin Bacon. I mean, he's just there. And he's a presence in your life. And Kira Sedgwick has also been acting for a long time. She's in Singles, now she's in The Closer. She's making good money there. So in this article, he said, you know what? Yeah, we lost everything except for what was in my checking account in my house. So I need to work, obviously, but we'll be fine, and that's how it works, and blah blah blah. So underneath this article, people get to comment, and all these people are making fun of Kevin Bacon, ha. Oh, I don't feel. Oh, Kira Sedgwick. One guy wrote this. Kira Sedgwick makes $300,000 an episode for The Closer. Sorry, I don't feel too sorry for you, Kevin. Okay. Wow. He wasn't asking you to feel sorry for him. And secondly, there is no way Kira Sedgwick makes $300,000 an episode for The Closer. I mean, that's a cable show. They're lucky if she might get like a library card and a case of Sprite to be on that fucking show. It's a goddamn cable show. But these people, I mean, it was relentless. Tons of people underneath were just like, oh, well, I guess Footloose 2 is going to be coming out soon. Ha ha ha. Why the fuck is it funny to you that Kevin Bacon lost his money? What did he ever fucking do to you? But that's Snark, and that's Artless Snark, and that's Anonymous Artless Snark. You remember Anonymous Artless Snark, don't you? That was the cartoon that ran with Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids when I was a kid. It was on at 11:30 on Channel 2, CBS. Anonymous Artless Snark. All right, so, but then it's so funny. I thought about that, and I was disgusted by it. I'm like, what the fuck are these people doing? Who makes fun of Kevin Bacon? Who doesn't like Kevin Bacon either? Kevin Bacon's great. But they decided to make fun of him because he lost all of his money, and apparently that's funny to these people. But I will tell you this, then it made me go, that's terrible. Wait a minute, asshat. When you have done stand-up, there were the fires in Malibu a few years ago when I lived in Chicago, and Sean Penn's house burned down, and it was like a big deal. They made fun of it. Or no, they didn't make fun of it. They reported it somberly. I made fun of it on stage, saying, oh, Sean Penn's house burned down. What a shame. I wonder if his other 5 houses have anything to comment on this story. And I said, you know what? If Sean Penn's bank burns down, give me a call. Maybe I feel bad for him. And I actually did that on stage. I remember saying it. I remember it vividly now. And that's the difference between being, 28 and 41 is that now you maybe care about people a little more. Or because then I try to think about it. I'm like, dude, what if somewhere in the inky black heart beating in your chest, you loved something and it burned down. It went away. How would you feel about it? Granted, it's just a fucking house, and I'm sure Sean Penn went, it's just a house, but still, why did I have to kick him in the teeth 12 years ago? I don't know why I did, but I did. And now I see people making fun of Bacon, and I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Hey, you were an ass. You did that, jerk. For years you did that. Probably still will do it in the future. Perhaps in 5 minutes you'll do it on this goddamn podcast. But just reading on the internet to see people doing it for no reason, it just makes you sick. God damn it makes me sick. I'm a guy who went on stage when Michael Jordan retired. In Chicago, the first time when Michael Jordan retired, I would open with this. I would go, man, Michael Jordan retired. What a drunk! And it's so funny because they're all over the newspapers and it was on all 3 networks. A lot of coverage for this story. And I got to be honest, I don't see the big deal. Granted, he's the greatest player who ever lived, but it's not like his father died or anything. Yeah, I did that. I don't know if you know this. Michael Jordan retired because his father had been shot. And I thought it was cute to make fun of it in my opening line. Because this is at a time when I didn't give a fuck about being funny so much as having people go, oh. Well, I think you should know that in Chicago, athletes are revered. Like Hollywood reveres, their celebrities and people like that. In Chicago, all they've got are athletes and anchormen. That's who they fucking love. So it's like if you're the guy who hosts the Channel 2 News, they're writing about you in the gossip columns. Same thing with the famous athletes. And granted, Michael Jordan transcended Chicago and became worldwide. But so imagine what he was in Chicago. I mean, he was there's a statue of him there, for Christ's sake. So I go up on stage and I would do that line, and people fucking hated me. It cost me work at a club. Like Riddle's Comedy Club was like, you know what, dude, we can't book you again. Like, because you know why? Not just because I did that joke, but because I would do that joke and then the crowd hated me so much, I would spend 10 minutes swimming in shit trying to win them back. And then they'd finally come around, which is testimony to how decent I was as a comic, was that I was able to get them back. But granted, it didn't happen every night. I wasn't able to get them back. A lot of times people were just like, man, you're a fucking dick. And then that was it. They tuned me out. And rightfully so. Who the fuck opens with that joke? You know what? That's not even a joke. That's a guy being a jagoff. Why would I say that? It makes no sense. So now when I read these people making fun of Bacon, I'm just like, oh, wow, that's just a fucking drag. And then I'm like, you are that guy. The only thing you didn't have, because you weren't fucking smart enough, the anonymity. You had the fucking gorilla balls to go up on stage on your name at a paid gig and do these fucking jokes. You're an idiot. And I keep calling them jokes. Believe me, I'm fully aware they're not fucking jokes, folks. Those are shock lines designed to get a response out of people, and I don't fucking know why. Because I can write funny jokes. I write jokes that are funny occasionally. I have in the past. So why write some line that's just like a fucking verbal stiletto? It makes no fucking sense. Because I'm a prick. That's why. Because that's what's interesting to me. Because I looked at it less as comedy and more of a lab experiment. Where I was like, hey, let's see if I can get through this. Let's see if I can push people's buttons and then fucking make people go, ooh, oh. Like I was more concerned with being edgy than being funny. And guess what? You know what that gets you? That gets you a goddamn free fucking radio show at 41 in a kitchen somewhere. That gets you doing this, praying that a pilot gets picked up while you work fucking graveyard. And you spend an hour and 17 minutes last week bitching about your life and getting people writing you anonymously telling you to fucking snap out of it. Hey, why don't you stick to being funny? Yeah. Yeah, I'll get right on it. Thanks. Thanks for being my career Sherpa and guiding me and pointing me in the right direction. I had started to meander toward the summit of sobbing, but I was glad that you put me back to the base camp of laughter. I don't know what any of that means. Those might be mountain climbing terms. I'm not sure. I don't know. I've never climbed a mountain. I barely climbed up the fucking stairs to get to Lily's house. All right.
Hey, I looked it up.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. You're leaping in now? That's how it works?
Yeah.
You just go ahead and jump in?
I found an article from March of 2007. Kara Sedgwick.
Seriously, by all means, give me all of the litany of what you found. People need to know the dates, and they need to know the times. I don't know what you're doing, why you're...
Kara Sedgwick was making $250,000 per episode.
Kara Sedgwick making $250,000 an episode. And,
she probably makes $300,000.
she might make $300,000. And I just said that it was cable, and she's getting Sprite for that role. So you know what? I'm going 180. You know what? Fuck this girl. That's all right. You know what? By all means, anonymous jackasses, take apart Kara Sedgwick. They deserve to lose all of that money. Who the fuck do they think they are? And while you're at it, go ahead and write me letters because I was dumb enough to make fun of that. And then, I don't know, and explain to me how boring the show is that my producer immediately went on the internet to try to find out what the fuck Kira Sedgwick is making. She's like, oh man, I better go ahead and type up something to find out what's happening there because I certainly don't want him to get over on this.
Hey, when I did radio, if
Again,
I didn't
you're
have
talking?
those details,
Yes.
I would be yelled at.
When
So
I did, and again
all of
now,
a sudden, radio just fell into me and I started
way to put out your resume, too, for all the people listening. You're like, hey, when I worked in radio those many years, I was somebody to be reckoned with, damn it. I was bringing up facts and all sorts of stuff. Don't you think I should have a microphone? Anyway, yeah, okay. So, Lily and her fast-typing fingers, which I learned today, by the way, she's ambidextrous when it comes to hand jobs. I found that out. Don't ask how I found it out. No, I don't know. It came up. She said her finger hurt, and I said, here's what she said. Her finger was numb or something on her left hand, and I said, all those years of giving hand jobs. And she held out her left hand and gave up backwards. She went backwards, Sidesaddle. Like guys know, all right. If you do a regular jerk off, there's just like the missionary position of jerking off is just like whatever your good hand is, your right hand or your left hand, and then it's just a straight ahead jerk. But she went left hand and then turned it upside down. As if, and I mean, I can't even explain it. You know what I'm talking about. Like look at your left hand, and then do like a jerk off motion, but then turn it sideways and do it that way. So the back of, you know what? So the back of your hand is facing you, and then do it that way. That's where she went. And I looked at her and I go, wait a minute, that's your go-to technique on the hand job? She's like, I can do either one. And I said, I understand that, but that was like when I said you gave hand jobs, that was your immediate go-to. Was you flipped the left and went backwards. She went Sidesaddle Lefty as her go-to technique. So, I mean, that's somebody with a lot of hand job experience that they immediately went to that. And so then I told her, I'm like, well, have you ever done like double hand corkscrew, which is really, that was created in Europe and is it can't be topped as far as hand jobs, as far as I'm concerned. And she was like, well, look, I can do anything you need. So she's got that going for all of us. So please keep that. That's why she had to do something with her hands so quickly. That's why she had to fly to the keyboard and start typing. She's not comfortable unless her hands are busy. And when she typed, she went Sidesaddle Lefty. Did a Sidesaddle Lefty type and find out about Kira Sedgwick and embarrassed me and then yelled in the middle of the goddamn show. So that's how it works, folks. That's apparently what this show has come to. After last week's Sadcast, everyone feels they can have an opinion, and now even the producer can just start yelling in the middle of the goddamn show and jumping in with facts or to set me straight in some way. Because God knows, once you get to episode 44, which I also found out is her breast size. That was another thing. I said, she goes, what episode is this? I said, 44. She goes, we're finally up to my breast size. And you know what I thought to myself? Finally. Oh, I'm so happy. Although, quite frankly, the first like 7 or so were with Eric, so those shouldn't count. I'm not up to breast size with Lily yet. But I love the fact that was what she went with. Oh yeah, we're finally at my breast. Oh yes, I was just thinking that. Finally, we're up to breast size. I can't tell you. I've been waiting and waiting for that to arrive. Good Lord, please show up breast size episode, so she can tell all of her friends that she's doing a podcast that is now finally up to her breast size. You should just do a breast size podcast. You know what? That's a good podcast too to invent. Like breast sizes and start at like 32A, and then say a bunch of people who are 32As, and then the next week is like 32B, 32C, and I think by the time you got to 44, double D, it would be the 44th podcast. The symmetry of it would be amazing. It would be like on Van Halen's album For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. There's a song, Eddie Van Halen wrote a song, it was like a lullaby for his son Wolfgang, that he used to play, he would put the guitar on Valerie's stomach, and he would play this song. And then he recorded it for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, because that is a tribute to your son. Go ahead and put it on the album that the initials stand for fuck. By all means, get that lullaby crammed in there. But here's the thing, if you have a cassette tape, in the old days, there was a thing called cassette tape, folks. And you would play it, and for some reason, this is I always enjoyed, there was a counter on your cassette player, like on your stereo, and it would tell you the number. I don't know, it would just roll, and I guess that was to help you find the spot on your cassette. Like if you were like, oh, it's a 270. I don't know anybody who was anal enough to use the counter and actually figure out that's where a song was and like catalog their cassettes via counter, but I guess more power to the one person who did. That guy, and right now that guy, he's got reams of notebooks with counter settings for all of the cassette tapes in the world. He's like, he's like John Doe in Seven. It's like you break into his house, you're going to just find all of these fucking notebooks with all these weird numerical codes and the Allman Brothers next to it. You're going to, what the fuck? That makes no sense. But God forbid when that guy dies, they'll find those records. But on For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, when you would start side 2 with triple zeros on the counter, the song was called 316. That was the song, the lullaby. It was called 316 for Wolfie. And that song 316 ends at 316 on your counter on the cassette tape. And I don't know if Eddie meant that. If he did, I think it's great that a guy drunk as Eddie Van Halen was could say, you know what, I want to make sure this ends on the number. I mean, that's brilliant to me that guy, just soaked in booze could go, hey, this would be a great thing to do. But regardless, I remember when I found out, I'm living in Anaheim, California, and I stare at my stereo and I'm like, oh my God. Like I couldn't believe it. And then I immediately made 316 my answering machine message. So I literally that was my outgoing answering machine message. I had two, like for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, I would do that. I would do the horrible. I would play background music because that's what you do. And what's funny? Even then, it was important to me to choose the music. But then the only people who had to suffer through it were the people who chose to call me. You people, now you are the ones who have to suffer through it. But I used, what did I use? The beginning of, was it Pleasure Dome? Yeah, a song called Pleasure Dome off that album. There's an opening that is fucking brilliant. And you know what? Now I have to do it. That's the opening music. The opening music you just heard, folks, opening the show, is Pleasure Dome by Van Halen. Before you even send me a note, it's the opening of, and that was my answering machine. So when you hear it back, you're going to think to yourself, oh, wow, this is, if I were to call Mike, imagine the beginning of the show, right now, stop and listen to the beginning of the show again. You've just called me in 1992. That's when you just called me in Los Angeles in 1992, and I'm sorry I can't come to the phone right now. I'm either out doing a road gig here in California somewhere, or I'm making a pizza at Little Caesars. Wait, did I work at Little Caesars then? I might. I don't know. I had a billion. Man, I've had every fucking serial killer job on the planet. Every single, trying to sell shit on the phone to people with a fake name to, you know what I've never done? And it's so funny. I've never sold meat door to door, but that's like a thing. I remember as a kid, like guys would come to our door selling like pork chops and shit. Like how do you survive in that gig that you're walking door to door selling meat? That makes no sense. But yet, here's why I bring it up. I'm in the doctor's office yesterday. That's an entirely different story, folks. And I'm reading Fortune magazine because I like to pretend. I like to pretend that I've got some sort of touchstone with those people. I don't know why. The closest I'm going to get to having a fortune is reading Fortune magazine. Yet, I sit there and they had like a thing on salesmen, and they're talking to salesmen and why they like their job and why they love their job and how they're best at it and what they do good. This is September of 2008, folks, so look it up. And they asked these guys what was the hardest thing they ever had to sell. And number one answer, meat door to door in Ohio. Some guy had to do it. He had to go sell meat door to door. And what's funny about that is he sells meat door to door in Ohio. Okay. Now there's a famous story about a running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. His name was Icky Woods. He used to do a dance called the Icky Shuffle. When they went to the Super Bowl in 1982, he was there. No, and actually in 82, he went in 88. They went in 82 with Pete Johnson at running back, but in 88 they went with Icky Woods doing the Icky Shuffle. And enjoy that arcane Cincinnati Bengal knowledge, folks. That's unfortunately where my brain goes. That's why I was a big winner on Ultimate Fan League game show and wound up winning so many prizes. So, Icky Woods. In a Where Are They Now story they did on Icky Woods a few years ago. You know where Icky Woods is? Selling meat door to door in Ohio. So it made me wonder if Fortune magazine called him. Like he was because I don't know. Is Ohio just covered with an army of meat salesmen going door to door? Does no one go to the grocery store in Ohio? Does everyone rely on the meat man to show up and stock them with brisket? That makes no fucking sense to me. Get out of your house and go to the goddamn store, especially in these times of anthrax and 9/11s. Who the hell's going to buy a pork chop from a guy you've never met? Although I guess if you go to the store, you're really buying a pork chop from somebody you've never met. But at least there's a collective. I mean, you could, because if something happens with that pork chop, you can blame Ralph of Ralph's and go after him. You think you're going to be able to track down Icky Woods after you buy a fucking hunk of sausage from him and it goes bad? No, you're not. You know, the only way to get that guy is to set like a bear trap up in your lawn. Because then, like, the next time he wanders through, snap, you've got him, and then you can run out and go, hey, idiot, you sold me this bad chicken. So it made me laugh. I don't know how many people are selling meat in Ohio, but apparently enough of them to where it made an answer in Fortune magazine, and Icky Woods was one of the answers, or at least he's one of the guys interviewed, I think. I don't know if he was. I don't know how they found him. They tracked him down. They followed a trail of suet. That was up a street in Lima. Christ, I did Lima, Ohio. I did stand up there, and it was the worst ever. Oh, what a bad gig. Folks, I was not. Apparently, I'm starting to realize I might not have been a successful comedian. I mean, there were shows that were great. I mean, how many people here have gotten a standing ovation from Darryl Strawberry? Fuck you. Nobody. Other than Mike Schmidt. How many people have gotten a thumbs up from Warren Beatty? Yeah, I didn't think so. Just Mike Schmidt. Contrast that with how many people were hated in all of the Midwestern states. Yes, Mike Schmidt. I would have been better received if I had shown up at their door with a handful of fucking chicken wings. That's what I should have been doing. Maybe I should have been going door to door selling meat. People would have liked me better in Ohio. That's the key. You need to come bearing gifts. You're like, hey, how you doing? Is anybody here from Lima? I've got some shish kebab in the car. All right, so. God, selling meat door to door would suck. That would be just awful. Imagine, you can't even call in sick to that job either. That's just terrible. Because it's funny because I've done door to door bullshit. You know what I did? I delivered phone books. Not quite as popular as meat, I can tell you that. But the advantage is you don't need to sell anybody on it. You just drop it on their goddamn doorstep. And you run away because inevitably, the thing is though, when I was doing it back then, people needed quote unquote the phone book. So they were kind of like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll drag this 40-pound cinder block of information into my goddamn house. But now nobody needs a fucking phone book, and yet they still deliver them. They delivered them to my house last week, and I walk out, and it's the thing, I live in an apartment building, so I walk out into the courtyard, and you just see that orange lump in front of everybody's door. You're like, oh, no, fucking phone books are here. And I immediately scooped mine up and ran it to the car, threw it away, like into the dumpster. Last year, I kept them. Karen was like, throw those away. I go, no, man, we need them, just in case. Just in case what? Just in case I need to find an attorney? You know what I mean? It's like, who the fuck is using the phone book for anything? And that even makes me laugh at attorneys. Who pays to even be in the goddamn Yellow Pages these days? Nobody cares. Literally 4 keystrokes, I can find out what Kira Sedgwick makes an episode for the fucking closer. And yet, to find a phone number of a pizza place, I'm going to drag out a 47-pound book and flip it open? Why was that ever convenient for anyone? Crazy. Kira Sedgwick, and Glenn Close is on. She's on TNT too. What does she make? Fuck, if fucking Kira Sedgwick is making $300,000 an episode, Glenn Close must just walk into the contract negotiations and just literally she walks in and she puts down a picture of Kira Sedgwick and then she puts down a picture of her Oscar and just goes, well, fellas, I don't know what to tell you. Because $300,000 on one, you know what? Let's just go ahead and find a happy medium somewhere between these two photos. Okay, that's funny. Do you hear Lily laughing? Okay, I'm gonna let you in on a secret. a second ago we had to stop down because I did that thing about Glenn Close and about the photos, and there was no laughter. There was none. Okay, and it actually kind of weirded me out because it's like I find myself playing to Lily a lot because that's what I do. Like even as a stand-up, you're trying to get laughs. So I did that and I got no laughs, and I actually had to like take my headset off because I was a little freaked out that I didn't get a laugh. And then she's like, I go, just start it over. She's like, what? And I go, nothing. I go, you didn't laugh, and it kind of weirded me out. I go, but it's not your job to laugh. She goes, yes, it is. So get that. Every show you've ever heard is a fucking lie. Every time you've heard this show, it's a lie because she thinks it's her job to laugh. And I just told her, look, it's not your job to laugh. But now all the letters I get from people are like, oh, man, Lily laughs a lot. In my head, I was like, yeah, because I'm funny. Now I know it's because it's fucking Lily's job to laugh. And I know that the fucking show is just taking it in the face. So it's like every time now that you hear Lily laugh, know that she's doing it because it's her job. I'm not funny. Although I am funny, but unfortunately, it's her job to make it sound like I'm even more funny. Apparently, so I just took the headset off because the Glenn Close thing got nothing. And then when we came back out of the break, she laughed like phony laughed, and it's like so you know that was a phony laugh. So just now it's in play now forever. Whenever you hear a laugh on this podcast, you got to in your head just go, did she really think that was funny, or was that a job laugh? I put it to you, folks. I should have called in sick to this. I should have called in sick to this job today. Although she can call in sick to her. You know what? She called in sick to her laughing job. That's how it worked out. So that worked out fine. I was reading an article about how in protest of Proposition 8, people were going to call in gay to work. Did you see that? There was this thing where they were like, because there's a thing called a day without a Mexican, where like all these in a protest against illegal immigration or in favor of illegal immigration or a protest about immigration, I don't fucking know. The people said, you know what, if the gardeners and all the people, you know, whatever job that immigrant people hold, if they didn't show up, it would wreak havoc. It became a film, actually, A Day Without a Mexican. And I think that was a film. Christ, I hope it was. If not, I'm making something up. It's a film I made on my own, folks, called A Day Without a Mexican, and it's based on every day of my life because, you know, or no, it's actually based on the days I'm not home for Christmas because when I'm home for Christmas, those are days with a Mexican. But when I'm here, it's truly days without a Mexican. So although I live in California, every day is with a Mexican. You know what? I should call my life Days with a Mexican. You know what? Here's the difference. In California, it's days with a Mexican, but when I go to Chicago, it's days with the Mexican. So that's what it'll be called. Because in Chicago, I have a specific Mexican. But here, I just have, I've got a plethora of Mexicans. I've got a veritable hat dance of Mexicans around me at all times. So along those brilliant lines, some people in protest decided to call in gay to work. Like that was because it was like, we'll show them none of these gay people will go to work and we'll call in and say we can't come in because we're gay, which seems creepy and weird. Like, I mean, what kind of excuse? I mean, you'll get fired for that, right? Don't you have to have a legitimate excuse? I mean, call in with like a cock ache. I mean, if you do that, then maybe it's better. I mean, what does calling in gay to work entail? It's like, oh, you would not believe how bad my ass hurts. I cannot possibly come in. Folks, I would love to come into work, but unfortunately my tie does not match my socks. Seriously, I have to stay home. Good God. See, that's calling in gay to work. That's an excuse. If you just call in gay, that's no excuse. Being gay means you can do your job, right? I wouldn't know. That's a sound I'm sure most of you make during the show. Just like this long-winded sigh. Just like, oh, Christ. Really? Calling in gay to work, friend? That's where you go with that? Yes, it is. It's exactly where I go with that. Oh. Sigh again. How rude is that? All right, so here's a weird email I got that I'll tell you about. I'm sure you're all aware that somewhere, somehow, right now in Africa, there's a prince who needs my money to get out of Africa. So... I don't know if he needs my money so much as he needs my name, and then he needs my bank account information, and won't he be disappointed when he gets that? So, a couple of years ago, that prince is thrilled to get my information. Now he's like, not so much. I think I'll stick around in Africa, and I'll eat dirt and machetes for a while. How's that grab you? So, but now that prince, he keeps sending me, he's in Ghana now, I think, and he wants all this. So, he continuously contacts me, and yet I continue to not help him. I can't help him just yet. I'm hoping to eventually. But right now, that prince is going to have to stay there, and he and Prince Hakeem is going to have to come here with Arsenio Hall and get an apartment in New York. So, I will. I will. So instead, I get this email the other day now because apparently Prince Hakeem. I'm just finding this out. Prince Hakeem, or the prince in Ghana who needs my name. This might be a scam, folks. Yeah. Get a load of that. I thought that this prince is on the up and up because I mean I get a lot of princes who write me. I'm not going to lie to you folks. And but now I find out this could be wrong. And here's how I know. Here's an email that I got this week. I got an email from the FBI, folks. I got an email from the FBI telling me that apparently I have been targeted by many princes in Africa who are trying to get my bank account information to get them out, and then it turns out there's going to be a scam. They're going to clean out my bank account. What? But the FBI, smartly, has gone ahead and taken, they're on the offensive against these princes, and they sent me an email, and apparently all the FBI needs from me is my name, my willingness to participate and testify, and also, for some reason, they need my bank account information to put it against the bank account information that the prince has in his records to make sure that it's the same one. So luckily, I'm so happy that the FBI contacted me because now I can go ahead and contact them and I can get involved in testifying against these people in Ghana and putting them away for a long, long time. And I can tell you this, I look forward to a long and fruitful relationship between me and the FBI from this day on. I think from this day forward, me and the FBI are really going to start getting some crime cleaned up in this country. Who thought of that? Who was the guy who went, you know what? Everybody's pretending to be the prince from Ghana. What do you say we go FBI? And they'll know it's FBI from Langley, Virginia, when we spell Langley, Langlee. They'll know that it's us. Oh, and they'll also know that it's the FBI when we say things like color and honor, and we spell it COLOUR and HONOUR. And you mentioned that somehow, possibly the prince from Ghana may have cleaned out all of the euros from my bank account. Then I'll definitely know it's the American FBI contacting me for help. Jesus Christ. Who's falling for it? Who? You know who's falling for it? You know what this is? There's a person at home right now, and he's closing a deal. He's actually he's finally closing a deal to buy lamb chops from a guy on his porch. And he goes, hold on a second. I got to go ahead and write back the prince from Ghana. Why don't you write up the invoice, and then I've got to send this guy my bank account information. Will you take a check? Because I can tell you immediately the meat salesman is going, Icky Woods is like, I will not take a check because you're about to give all of your money to Prince Hakeem. Not interested. And then Icky does the shuffle and shuffles off the porch, takes his lamb chops and goes. I can't believe that that's where the evolution of this scam has gone. So they're finally like, you know what? We've beaten this Prince of Ghana thing into the ground. What if we say we're the FBI fighting against it? Yes, let's do it. And who at home has turned down the Prince from Ghana 100 times and then finally gets the FBI letter and goes, finally, someone is cracking down on these idiots. Here's my bank account information. Let's take them down. Oh. And yet I say that, and I don't understand how people can fall for scams. And folks, I'm gonna tell you a couple of stories here that probably won't make me look good. But again, after last week, aren't we all just relieved that I'm telling you any stories of any kind? After last week, where I just fist fucked myself with pity for an hour and 15 minutes. All right, so here's something that happened. My friend Jeff. He's a good guy. I think I've mentioned Jeff occasionally. He came out and visited me one time. He visited me in my curly mullet out here in the early 90s. And I had folks. I only wish there was a way to paint a verbal picture, but I'll attempt it. I wasn't as crazy fat as I am now or was years ago, but Jesus, I was still a big dude. And I was, and this is when I was dating this is when I was dating the woman who contacted me via MySpace. And by the way, I've had people ask me about that. Here's how that turned out. Here's what happened. She contacted me via MySpace. This is a woman I used to date, and she contacted me a few times. And then finally, I said, you know what? I'm going to call her. So I called her. I mean, did I tell this story yet? Did I tell the upshot of it? I called her, and she answered the phone and was like, oh my God, it's Michael. And I said, yes. And she goes, look, I got to let you go right away. I'm here with a friend of mine and we're doing something, but I'll call, can you call me another time? Yes, of course I can. Click, never to call again. After all the consternation, after all the bullshit I went through about whether I should call this person, finally I call them and I get blown off. After 9 emails, this person sent me going, hey, how you doing? Is everything okay? I hope everything's okay. Are you doing well? Give me a call. And me going, does she want to bang me? What's going to happen? Should I get a plane ticket? What's happening? And I finally called that person, and literally she's like, oh, you know what? I'm tied up right now. Can you call another time? Yes, of course I can. Click, lose his number forever. And I'm sure I'm overreacting at that point, but it was literally like, it was just this weird thing where I finally went, you know what? What are you doing? Call this person. It'll be fine. And I call them, and I get blown off in 30 seconds after not having spoken to them in 15 years or whatever the fuck it is. Contact me via, created a MySpace page just to contact me. And then I call them, and they go, seriously, I can't help you. I got soup cooling. All right. Well, sorry I bothered you. God, you know what? Maybe I'll call you again in 2014. Oh, wait, too soon? How about 2024? Yes, that's 15 years. Exactly. Let's do it. So that's how that turned out. But I was dating this person at the time. And my friend Jeff came out to visit me. And I had a mullet, folks. Oh, my Lord. It's funny. Here, comedians in Chicago, from Chicago who live in California now, they would get together and they would show their old demo tapes at a party. To make fun of themselves. You know what I mean? Basically to go, look, what are you wearing, idiot? And I never got to participate, which is too bad because I have 2 buttes. I got a videotape of me wearing this is when in like 1990, wearing a T-shirt with the Batman logo on it, doing stand-up at some dark hotel, like standing on a platform with like a silver, like a gold banister in front of me. Oh, it's awful. I'm funny, and not as funny as I thought I was then, certainly. But there's that tape, but my favorite tape that I have, actually I have 2 tapes. I apologize, 2 more tapes. I did the last stop in Newport Beach, and I used to do that all the time. There's one tape of me wearing like MC Hammer Zubas, like those kind of pants, but they weren't like, they were blue. Okay. They weren't like, there wasn't a pattern. They were crazy. They were just solid blue. And my big oversized Adidas Run DMC sweatshirt. And let me tell you something. If it's an oversized sweatshirt on me, it had to be fucking big. And it was just one of those big, chunky, like embossed Run DMC on the front. And it was real busy with white and a bunch of like Keith Haring figures all over it. I mean, and I've got a mullet, folks. Like when my hair gets long, it gets curly, like corkscrew curly. And Karen loves it. And it was a chick thing. Chicks dug it. I'm not going to lie to you folks. But it looked horrible. I mean, it was just, if my hair gets long, it gets unruly curly. So I had these corkscrews falling in this mullet, and it was like down past my shoulders. It was crazy long in the back, and business in the front. And I'm doing stand up, and I have this affectation that I used to have, a fake gum chew. Like I would do a bit, and I would stop the bit and go. I would fake chew gum. I don't know why. It was a nervous thing, obviously, or a way to because I didn't like silence. Hard to believe I don't like silence. You listen to this show, folks. Things have not changed, and I do fake gum chew on this show. And but yeah, so I mean, I'm busting out mullet and Run DMC and fake gum chew. That's probably the pinnacle of bad tapes for me. Although I do have another tape, same thing, same mullet like crazy, same stage, but I was wearing purple Zubas with a black pattern. Like this time they had pattern. And I had a denim jacket with fringe, like off the front and not on the sleeves, but just on the front, white fringe in the back and in the front. Oh man, yeah. I used to get laid, folks. Isn't that weird? That makes no sense, but I did. I must have been seriously charming or funny to pull it off with these fucking wardrobe choices. But I tell you, we're at the Zubaz easy access, buddy. Just fucking go out in the parking lot, drop it down, and get a Sidesaddle Lefty from some chick in a car. That's how I worked it. So, back then, in the days of mullets and Zubaz, my friend Jeff came to visit. And we wound up going to Disneyland, and we did all that stuff, because he had never been out here, so we did a bunch of stuff. So we're on Hollywood Boulevard doing the touristy thing. And by that, I mean urinating on the star of Tom Dreesen. And, no, that's not touristy. That's a local thing. All right, so why do I get a shit on Dreesen? I didn't. I pissed on him. So anyway, I'm on the street, and Jeff and I are walking. There's a crowd on Hollywood Boulevard. I know that's hard for you folks to believe, but there is. There's a crowd gathered. And I've got my friend Jeff in from out of town, so I'm like, all right, let's go take a look at what this could be. And by the way, I'm Mr. Sharp. I'm a comedian, and I'm in the business, so I'm very cool. And I go up to Hollywood Boulevard, and here's what's happening, folks. There's a group of people, probably about 25, 30 people deep, and then you get to the front, and I should tell you on Hollywood Boulevard, that could be anything. At this point, I mean, you just see a crowd of 30 people on Hollywood Boulevard. Usually, your best chance, just move along, because you get to the front of that line and you just all of a sudden it's a guy blowing himself. You're like, oh man, I didn't want to see that ever. Or it's a guy painted completely silver and standing still, and waiting for you to give him money because he can stand still. What? Do something, sing, anything. I don't care. Do the robot. Be Dr. Geek. Walk around with your big fucking radio and make up a fake rap. Christ, get a crazy mullet and a fake gum chew. Knock out a few jokes. Do that. So Hollywood Boulevard, it could be anything that's going on. So we approach, we get to the front, and it's these guys, and they have a huge like a cardboard table, like a big setup of like 4 cardboard boxes, and they're playing a little 3-card monte, folks. Little flip-flop, swip and sway, little hey, where's the queen? Follow the queen, doing all that, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, this is hysterical. I can't believe that, because I've never seen it. Like, I had no idea that it was real. It just struck me as such a movie thing to see. Like, who the fuck really builds a 3-card monte game on the street? That makes 0 sense. But it didn't stop me, man. We're watching it and we're playing, and everybody's having fun, and there's guys are playing and they're always losing. And I'm laughing because I can't believe these guys are actually playing and losing, because it's like I'm watching. I know where the queen is all the fucking time. How the fuck are they losing? So they're losing. This guy keeps, and 3 guys lose. I watch them lose their money, and I'm laughing. I'm like, I can't believe they lost. And it's $20 to play. And this guy's like, who wants to play? Who wants to play? And I go, Jeff, let's fucking play. And Jeff is like, what are you talking about? I go, dude, let's play. Seriously. I go, I've won 4 times in a row here. And he's just like, I'm not going to, and I pulled out, I had $40 and I pulled it out. I go, well, we'll both play. And the guy, I'm not kidding you. I pulled the 40, because they're yelling at me now. Like 4 dudes are yelling at me to play. Come on, play. You got it right. Da, da, da. They're all yelling. They're yelling and yelling. And I'm like, all right, I should play. Jeff, you want to play? Who's playing? I get my wallet out. I pulled the $40 out. It's not out of my hand, like out of my wallet a second before they snatch it. Like they grab my money and they put it on the table to play. So now that my $40 is riding, and they go ding, 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 ding. They go, hey, here's the queen. Bam, 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 bam. Here's the king. Bam, bam, bam. They're not making that noise. If they would, it would have been much more entertaining. But as they're playing, the guy running the game is floating the cards. There's a guy next to me going, oh, dude, it's in the first section. It's in the first, and the guy's going, no, it's on the right. I've got 2 guys yelling in my ear, and the guy controlling the game, and I'm watching. And then Jeff is talking to me, and he's like, dude, why are you doing this? And I'm like, I don't. And literally, it happens that fast where my 40's on the table, cards are flying, 5 dudes are talking to me. I look at Jeff, I look down, they're like, where's the queen? And I go, oh, it's right there. And I've been right every single time. I know where it is. It's right there. Guy flips it over. Sorry, 9. Grabs my $40 and puts it in his pocket. And, I mean, it happens that quick. It happens in like 30 seconds where I pulled $40 out. 4 dudes are yelling at me. I'm talking to Jeff. This is happening. I'm following the queen. And again, I've won 4 or 5 times in a row. There's no way I lose. How can I lose? And sure enough, I fucking lose. And immediately, what you can do at that point is you can chuckle and go, oh, I'm stupid. And then you realize, oh, the guy next to me is in on it, and the other guy next to me is in on it, and the guy playing the game is in on it, and the 4th guy who kept losing is in on it. All they're trying to do is get one guy to pull out his money. You know who that guy is? Me. This entire elaborate scheme has been put almost as if they hired the 30 people as extras. Like, it would have been worth it for them to shell out that money to those people just to steal my $40. I fucking lose at 3-card monte. Who do you know in the world that has ever lost at 3-card monte that hasn't been in an old-time radio show with fucking Jack Benny? Unbelievable. So again, at that point, you can lick your wounds and go, you know what? I'm fucking stupid. I seriously walked into this buzzsaw, and he's in on it, and he's in on it. And you know what, fellas? Enjoy your $40. That used to be my $40. You could do that. Or you could make the biggest scene of your life and go, hey, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? I wasn't playing. I looked away. And actually, that's my favorite part is I debated the rules of 3-card monte and follow the queen with these guys. Like, I'm like, no, man, this guy's yelling at me and this guy's yelling. And they're like, no, man, you played the game. Who's up? Who's next? They're like done with me. And I'm like, no, fuck that. Give me my fucking money. And Jeff's like, dude, let's get out of here. Because there's 4 dudes, but I don't give a fuck. I am so filled with rage because I'm so embarrassed that this happened that I don't care. I'll fight everybody. I don't fucking care. I will just keep punching people until I get my $40 worth. And I don't even know when that'll be. Seriously, it'll just be, I will punch people until I'm winded and finished. And I'm like, that's about $40 worth of fucking damage. So I'm losing it. And my favorite part is they just ignore me. Like, I'm just freaking out. And they keep trying to play follow the queen with people. But they don't understand that, you know what's bad for business? A 350-pound fucking wild man freaking out that he lost his money. So Jeff's trying to drag me away. I'm freaking out. I'm like, no, fuck this. Where the fuck is my money? Give me my fucking money. And the crowd's kind of starting to disperse. So I'm like, give me my fucking money. And then the one guy takes off. Like the guy who's in my ear. He just starts walking really fast the other way. And I go, give me my fucking... And the guy's still doing the follow the queen. And I'm like, money. And I fucking just start destroying the cardboard that they have set up. I'm just like the Hulk smash. Like, I'm just like, give me my fucking... And I just start fucking... I destroy... Because they have like this whole cardboard setup and they're doing the cards. And it's just me beating up cardboard boxes at this point. Because he splits. The cards are all over the place. He leaves. Everybody leaves. The crowds are dispersing. And it's just like a movie. It's absolutely like a movie. I'm just fucking destroying the cardboard and I'm ripping it up. I'm just taking out all of my fucking anger and rage. And I turn around, just 2 cops standing there. And the only thing I wish they had done was if they had their nightsticks out, just like tapping them into their hands. But literally, they're just standing there. And one guy's got his arm crossed, and they're looking at me. And they're like, "What's going on?" I go, "Did you see those guys? They were like 4 dudes, and they were like playing a card game. They took my $40. They took my $40." He's like, "Did they take your $40, or did you give them your $40?" And I'm like, what difference does that make? Like, get my $40, Flatfoot. And Jeff finally goes, dude, calm down. And then like I said, when you come out of that, because I do that where I'll go into like a rage spasm, and then you come out of it and you just look around and the smoke clears, and you're just standing there with like destroyed cardboard boxes all around you. You're holding one of them in your hand, and I'm my wallet is still empty. But people on the street are looking at me like, that guy is dangerous. And but it's because, man, have you ever done something so stupid? And I do it all the time. And I kill myself over it. That's one of the things I have is I'm so hard on myself. Like I said, if I have a spelling error in an email or anything like that, I want to murder myself. I'm like, how could you be that dumb? I don't know why I'm that hard on myself, but I am. But imagine coughing up the $40, and this is at a time when I got no money. Like, Jeff has come to town and he's fucking paying for everything, and I got So I mean, I wound up. So I lost $40. I lost $40 playing 3-card monte, folks. I follow the queen, and it's funny, where I followed the queen all the way out to the fucking middle of Hollywood Boulevard as I smashed their fucking setup. Nothing but cardboard boxes and like cards and playing cards all over the ground, and homeless people looking at me like I got to avoid that fucking guy. So I mean, I know what it's like to be scammed, and that's why I'm like so hyper vigilant about getting scammed ever again. As much as I want to help the FBI catch this guy from Ghana, I can't put myself at risk again. Because you know why? Because there's no cardboard boxes to destroy on the internet. There's just no way to get back from that shame. I got scammed another time too. One time when I first, Karen and I first started dating, and then we moved in together, and then she had a family friend. I forget his fucking name, but he had some TVs that fell off a truck. So he was going to get them for me. So it was $100 for like this, like a 30-inch TV or whatever. And I was like, all right, well, I said, Karen, is this something we should do? She's like, I guess so. Let's do it. So I had a gig. I left, where I lived, and I went and picked this guy up, and he and I were going to go pick up the television, and then I was going to drop him off and go to my gig. So we wound up going to an apartment complex, and he's like, all right, it's $100, and I'll run in and I'll come out and I'll meet you out. And I gave the guy $100, and he ran into the building. And I still have not seen him. I'm assuming any moment now he's going to come out with my television. But I'm sitting there. There's nothing worse than the feeling that you just got okey doked. It's the worst. And I'm in the car and I have a gig. It's like 7:30 and I have a gig at 8:30 and it's a hustle through traffic to get there. And I'm sitting in this car and time is just ticking away and I'm waiting for him and I'm going, well, I can't leave. I gave this guy $100. And I'm like, he's not coming out. He's not coming out. And I said, good for him, because even if he does come out with a television now, I'm beating the fuck out of him just for making me wait this long. And but no, he never came out. And then I went to Karen, and then poor Karen, she's embarrassed because like her family knows the guy, but they just know him. Like it's not like he's a cousin or a brother or a pal. He's just a guy that they knew, and he's a family friend that we trusted. The guy fucking ganked me for $100. And oh Christ, I wanted to kill him. Oh Jesus, I wish I could remember his name. I'd give it to you. I would literally, I usually don't say last names. I would say that guy's first and last fucking name just so you found him and delivered him to me. And then we could just put him in a bunch of cardboard boxes and watch me punch the shit out of him. Just wind up, I would just there'd be playing cards and then this guy strewn all over the goddamn boulevard. All right. So, I know what it's like to be scammed, folks. It is not fun. So stop sending me your scamming emails, scammers and spammers. Watched the inauguration yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Our friend Obama, he's our pal, Barack Obama. He's now the president. And I watched the inauguration in the beginning, and I saw Dick Cheney get wheeled out in his wheelchair. What a final! It was such a great final image of Dick Cheney to see him out there just after he had stolen George Bailey's building and loan money. To see him getting wheeled around. That warped, frustrated old man. Just, the only thing he needed was a blanket on his legs and a white cat to pet. That's the only thing he needed. And then, he was building a fucking laser to shoot James Bond in the chest. I mean, it was just, oh Christ, what a great image of him in a wheelchair on his way out the goddamn door. Because that's how he's left the country and our economy, in a goddamn wheelchair. So why not can't even walk out. Guy's got to be driven out, pushed out. I think that was another good analogy. He was being pushed out the fucking door, finally. By America, universally behind him, pushing him out as he pet his cat. Oh, fucking awful. I didn't watch the balls last night. I understand. Ted Kennedy collapsed at the luncheon, and then Robert Byrd collapsed. Robert Byrd collapsed, of course, because it finally dawned on him that a black man is president. He probably just he went, wait a minute, this is really happening? Clunk. And yeah, I make fun of a 91-year-old guy. Why not? Who cares? But it was great, man. It was great to watch, but at the same time, as a cynical prick that I am, to see these people rejoicing as if aliens had come to Earth and were now going to save us from ourselves. It was just so weird. These people are so excited. And I mean, I understand being excited. I mean, and this will sound awful, but in 1992, when I was 25 and I voted for Bill Clinton and Bill Clinton won, it was the greatest feeling in the world. It was finally like, hey, this is going to change things. Things are going to change. And then it turned out Bill Clinton was a great president. What a shock. And I know I'm going to get emails from people who didn't like that, but you know what? Believe me, if you didn't like last week's show and you wrote me, if you'd have seen those emails of people telling me to just shut up and be funny, then that's fine. Go ahead and write whatever you're going to write. But I'm expecting Barack Obama to be a good president. I hope, don't we all? But I mean, can we have enough of the false confidence? Karen watches Oprah, and Oprah won't stop blowing Obama constantly. And she has celebrities on doing it too. Here's my favorite one so far. And Karen she's like, you got to see this. Because normally I wouldn't even watch it. She's like, you got to see this. Justin Timberlake. No. And Justin Timberlake goes, I'll tell you what, the morning after Obama was elected, I got out of bed and I woke up with a swagger in my step. What? Really? And he goes, that's right. America has a swagger. Now America has a swagger. You know what? I don't know if you've been paying attention. The problem for the past 8 years is America's been swaggering all over the fucking globe, swinging its dick at everybody who opens its fucking mouth. That's the whole point. Let's not have a swagger. Let's have a quiet confidence that we can get shit done, and also give you. You know what? Let's be Clint Eastwood and not Dane Cook. Can we do that as a country? Let's just be the fucking guy who doesn't say a word but is able to stare at you and make you go, fuck, all right, let's do it. Instead of the idiot in the tank top who's doing fucking somersaults and going, look at me! I woke up with a swagger in my step. He actually said, he goes, now America is cool. Oh, good. Again, that's been the problem, is we want people to think that we're cool. You know what? You're not cool if you want people to think you're fucking cool. You just are cool. People decide whether you're cool or not. That's how it works. Because the world is high school. You can't make yourself cool. This isn't a movie from the 80s where you get to fucking, you move from one city to the other and you comb your hair a different way and all of a sudden you're popular. That's not the way it fucking works. And then Timberlake says, America, he goes, you know what, though? It all starts with all of us. We now need to roll up our sleeves and put our nose to the grindstone and get to work. Well, you first, Justin. How about you stop bringing sexy back and you go ahead and take some sort of job where you help people out? Would you do that, please? Instead of telling me about your dick in a box, why don't you go start feeding people soup at the goddamn soup kitchen? Can we get less of the celebrities in this country telling us we all got to get to work now and move forward? Jesus Christ, you're fucking Jessica Biel. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. You've won. You've won. I don't care if you had to blow that guy who put your band together when you were a kid. You've won now. Things have gone well for you. Didn't they all do that? Like NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys, that guy who went to jail? I mean, he was probably... come on. They all had to do something to get into that band. And I like Justin Timberlake. I bought his albums. What's that?
Lance did it for all of us.
Lance took care of it? Yeah, Lance played grenade for the entire team. Lance is like, well, there's 5 of us. I'll blow you 5 times and then we're all in the band. Does that work out okay? Done. That's what's known in the business as bassing it up. So, yeah, I mean, I am excited. We're all excited. Everybody's excited to see what's going to happen. But, Jesus, when I hear those remarks from celebrities, I'm like, you know what? Maybe Obama doesn't close Guantanamo Bay that soon and send some of these guys over there to go ahead and experience life before you start telling me I got to get to fucking work. Obama. And it's going to be a different kind of presidency, man. He said he's going – actually, Obama said that he's going to have a weekly YouTube fireside chat with people. He's going to go on YouTube and talk. And I just think that is fucking ludicrous. Because you remember when they had the debates, they actually had a YouTube debate. Did you see that? When they had people come on and go on YouTube for a debate, and they took questions from people on YouTube. And believe me, I can tell you, there are no smarter people in the world than the people who comment on YouTube. Who the fuck is, why should they have to deal with the internet? Can they just be grown up about it? I mean, I'm waiting. You're watching the debate. You're like, hi, we have a question on censorship. It's from 2 Girls, 1 Cup. They'd like to hear what you have to say about, come on, give me a fucking break. Hey, this next question's on race relations from Mr. Kimbo Slice. Does anybody would someone like to answer, please? Leave YouTube alone. Don't put these fucking people on there. It's like, and they made them all do it. That was the best part. Obama, I can see on YouTube. That sort of makes sense because he's our age. But Jesus Christ, John McCain was on YouTube and he's taking questions from people. John McCain is 71 years old. John McCain thinks a YouTube is what Charlie made him sleep in when he wouldn't answer their questions right. And yet he's got to go on fucking YouTube and talk to people. He doesn't want to do that. He's got no fucking idea what it is. John McCain has a MySpace page. Do you know that? John McCain had a MySpace page, and he actually did chats on MySpace. I'll tell you what, if I hear of a 71-year-old having a chat on MySpace with young teenagers, that story better end with him getting tackled on the lawn in front of To Catch a Predator cameras. Seriously. Jesus Christ. So who knows? I mean, is it all going to change? I don't know if it's going to change. We're excited, and we'll see what happens. But again, that's the way it works. I mean, it's every 4 or 8 years. And again, it was so funny. I saw a graph yesterday, and it was all about the approval ratings of presidents throughout their term, and they all go down. I mean, it's like literally they start here, and they kind of polygraph up and down, and they always end down. You know who didn't? Bill Clinton. He's the only one who didn't, because people realized that, you know what, that guy getting blown wasn't really that big a deal. But they didn't realize it until afterwards, unfortunately. Oh, fuck, who cares? This is nobody cares about Clinton. I shouldn't even bring him up because now he's a joke. He's a punchline. Like, he's become this universal idiot because he's made himself that. After he left office, he banged a bunch of chicks and he looked, whatever. Who cares? Jesus Christ. So who knows? It's going to work out, right? Isn't it going to work out, everybody? Yes? No? Of course it is. You can write me at Mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You can write me at MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Go ahead and get me in either of those places. Please feel free to write me and tell me that I need to stick to being funny. God knows I want to hear that. And I got nothing to plug this week, man. I've done no podcasts. I've done nothing. Go to, I'll you know what I do? Go to comedyfilmnerds.com because this weekend, it's not up yet when you hear this, unless you do later. I don't know. But it won't be up till this weekend that I'm reviewing the film Taken by Liam Neeson, which I actually told him, I go, look, I have to review that film because when I saw the trailer, I got goosebumps, and that doesn't happen a lot. Like that thing at the scene where Liam Neeson is giving the guy the speech on the phone and the guy just says, good luck. Oh my God, how great was that? And the best part of it, they've shown nothing else. I've seen nothing but that scene, and that scene alone made me go, I'm seeing this goddamn movie because it was awesome. So, and by the way, imagine what my review is going to be like. I just fucking gave a Sidesaddle Lefty to that fucking movie before I even saw it. So, so who knows? Hopefully it lives up to that scene. We don't know, but go to comedyfilmnerds.com to find out if I thought that it did. And also remember I did the Comics on Comics podcast. Download that and see me in my ill-fitting clothing. All right. I cut my face. It's here's something that happened. My wife is we were out shopping the other day, and Karen's like, "Oh, I like your razor blades." I'm like, "Yeah, you like them too much." And she's like, "Why?" I go, "You used my razor on your legs, didn't you?" She's like, "Yeah." Yeah. She's like, "How did you know?" And I go, "What do you mean? How did I fucking know? Because feel my face. It feels like a driveway after a fucking hailstorm. That's why." Because I'm serious. Once a woman uses your razor, it's finished. I mean, you can't use it again. And it's because I don't know what the fuck. I mean, I don't know what kind of steel wool you got growing out of your fucking legs. I don't want to know. But all I know is it'll fuck a razor blade up, and I wind up mangled. And it made me think. It's funny because there was a movie called Predator. I know this sounds ridiculous to go to this route, but in the movie Predator, there's a scene where like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers, they hit a village and it's been destroyed by the Predator, and they find this woman hiding in the bushes, and she's trying to explain to them about the Predator, and he's a monster, and she's telling him, she goes, you know what? Sometimes we would find the men in my village without skin. Sometimes even worse. What the fuck is worse than without skin? What could possibly be worse than without skin? You find them, I don't know, the only thing I could think of was watching Predator 2. That would be the only thing that could possibly be worse than finding the men in your village without skin, is seeing them watching a videotape of Predator 2, because Jesus Christ, I would much rather have my skin removed. I'm talking in sections, not even in one big peel. Like, you know how you try to peel an orange and you challenge yourself and you're like, I'm going to get this whole orange peel off in one peel. I don't give a fuck. You could flay me by 1 inch by 1 inch squares and it would still be preferable to sitting through fucking Predator 2. I don't know. And then they made like Predator 3, and they made Alien vs. Predator, and they made Sleepless in Seattle with the Predator, and they made fucking Terms of Endearment with the Predator. Jesus Christ, the Predator is making a ton of films. He's a very popular man. I don't know how he got to be that popular. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jag-off. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jag-off. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just, I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. fit. You're 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 fit.